For more on this, we're now joined by Judges Matter Research and Advocacy Officer Mbekezeli Benjamin, and he joins us via our video link. Mbekezeli, thank you so much for joining us here on the late edition. One would ask, when it comes to that vote in which we saw today in Parliament, is this something that you had expected that most MPs would vote alongside the ANC? I mean, we had there the IFP supporting that vote, basically then making sure that, this gets taken to the president, that it has selected Adv Gcaleka as public protector.
Good evening, Bali, and good evening to the viewers at home. Yes, I did expect that the vote will succeed. The question was about the numbers, because you'll recall that the Constitution requires that 60% of the National Assembly votes in favor of a candidate for public protector, and that 60% was about 240. The ANC alone had about 239 members, so they needed just to convince one or two other MPs to vote alongside them so that their vote succeeds. But what was surprising for me actually is the final tally. As you said, it was 244. And when you look historically of all the public protectors since Selby Bakwa in about 98, Advocate Gcaleka actually received the lowest number of votes. So if you look at Madonsela, for example, Advocate Madonsela, she received 316 votes. The immediate predecessor, Advocate Mkhwebane, received 261 votes, and Gcaleka received 244. So it does tell us something about how the National Assembly, actually the ANC, needed to cobble together a couple of other parties for them to get the final numbers in and get Advocate Gcaleka across the line.
And of course, because of that and that low number, that's why we saw this drama unfolding in Parliament. I'd like to specifically zoom in to the comments made there by Glynis Breitenbach from the DA. And of course, she was asked to leave the House after making those comments surrounding Advocate Gcaleka when it comes to, how she rose up the ranks. And, such comments, what do you make of it, especially when we are ushering in a new public protector, of course, under a very dark cloud?
Well, I found the comments a little bit disappointing, particularly from someone who is a trained lawyer herself and who is a senior member of Parliament in terms of her role on the Justice Committee. So I think Advocate Breitenbach could have been robust. She could have put forward very strong points in favor of Parliament not voting for Advocate Gcaleka, but she didn't need to go that low in terms of the kinds of comments that she made, which I unfortunately will not repeat. But I think, look, there is some bad blood between them, because it seems as if they had a prior relationship or prior interactions as colleagues at the National Prosecuting Authority. We saw that during the interviews where she did put questions that related to Advocate Gcaleka's time at the National Prosecuting Authority, which I think was fair of her to put those questions. But when it comes to the debate, you do want to elevate the debate and put forward strong points. You don't need to go below the belt in order to make your point, and which I think it was disappointing to see.
And staying with Breitenbach, she says that she doesn't feel that there were strong enough candidates to begin with. And, the DA feels that, they should start the process again from scratch and bring more credible candidates to the fore. What is your comments on that?
Well, look, to be quite honest, during the interviews, a lot of the candidates did not quite impress. They didn't seem to grasp the full issues that the public protector deals with. They didn't really have an impression, or they didn't give me an impression that they, for example, followed the Section 194 inquiry and what happens there, because some of the things that relate to the public protector's office and how it's operated operates. It came out during the Section 194 inquiry, and for people who intended to be public protectors, you would have expected them to familiarize themselves with some of the big issues and come up with sort of a vision for what they want to do when they come into office. The only person who I think was able to put forward that kind of vision was Advocate Gcaleka, and it's probably because she's been in that office for the last 4 years, since January 2020. So she is really familiar with some of the issues, and in fact, she was able to showcase some of the initiatives that she had taken in order to improve the Office of the Public Protector. For example, she had introduced new methods of learning and research between different members of the Public Protector team, and some reflection of some of the judgments that have come out of the courts over the last couple of years. So I expected other candidates to also offer that kind of thing, but unfortunately it didn't come through.
And in Mbekezeli, we always speak of this dark cloud that hangs over Gcaleka, and this, vote of confidence from Parliament. There is that Phala Phala report that hangs. Do you think because of, these questions from various political parties in Parliament that, she may in the end suffer the same fate as, Busisiwe Mkhwebane?
Well, I think that will largely depend on what the courts say, because, like you said, the Phala Phala report was really her first major test, and whether she will be able to withstand the pressures that come with the Office of the Public Protector. I don't believe that she necessarily passed that test. I do have some logical questions and reasoning questions about the investigation itself. But of course, it's now under court review, and the courts will pronounce on that investigation. And should the court, for example, speak about how the public protector herself, which is quite different from just ordinary reviews of her reports, right? It's not surprising that some of the reports will be taken to court, but the key question is, what will the court say about her specific conduct? And that will determine whether this cloud was really justified, or whether she actually did execute her responsibility in terms of the law and the Constitution.
And how soon can we expect President Cyril Ramaphosa to rubber stamp her approval and appoint her officially as the public protector?
Well, one would hope that it would happen soon, because from now that Parliament has spoken on the issue, all the president needs to do is to sign off. He doesn't have much discretion in terms of thinking or putting his mind to the decision. He simply just needs to sign off. And so that shouldn't take too long. And one does expect that the president would, the public protector will officially be in office at least by the beginning of 2024, which is a couple of weeks away.
All right, so then, Mbekezeli, thank you so much for that insight. Always a pleasure talking to you on the show. That is Mbekezeli Benjamin. He is from Judges Matter, a researcher and also an advocacy officer.